This is a Blackberry Bourbon Bramble, and you really have to taste it to understand how good it is. Let me show you how to make it. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the Whiskey Nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a Blackberry Bourbon Bramble, which is a very nice cocktail that you really have to try to understand how good it is. It's kind of straddling the line between a summertime cocktail and a fall cocktail, and it also kind of looks a little bit similar to something like a whiskey sour because it does combine lemon juice, sweet things, and whiskey, but it is a very nice cocktail unto itself. The cocktail obviously uses blackberries, it uses lemon juice, it uses Chambord, which is like a black raspberry liqueur. You can use your own kind of liqueur. You could probably even use creme de cassis, but I'm using Chambord because it's nice and sweet, and it really does round out cocktails, I think, because it has a little bit of kind of citrusy notes, has a little bit of vanilla to it, so it's not just like a one note berry liqueur. But the real star of the show is the bourbon, and this is the Wild Turkey 101 bourbon. It is a fantastic whiskey, especially if you're looking for like a bourbon in a cocktail, because it's not the most expensive bourbon to use. It's not really overpriced, but it does have a nice amount of flavor, and since it comes in at 101 proof or 50.5% alcohol by volume, when you add it to other ingredients, when you dilute it with a bit of ice, you only bring it down a little bit, so you still have that whiskey flavor and that little bit of a punch from the alcohol, so it doesn't get lost behind all the other ingredients. And the last little ingredient to really make this cocktail kind of special and kind of different is some basil, or if you're in America, some basil. This is a fresh herb, and you'll probably often see it on things like pizzas and things that are very savory. You might wonder why it's here in a cocktail. Well, because basil or basil does add this really nice kind of fresh, kind of herbal, kind of light note that I think contrasts really nicely with the kind of tart notes of the lemon juice, with the kind of sharper notes of the blackberries and those deeper sweet notes of the bourbon. You don't have to use it if you don't want, but I've tried the recipe with and I've tried the recipe without, and I think the basil and the basil definitely adds a very nice note that really rounds out the cocktail and makes it something you kind of have to try. But before you try the cocktail, you've got to make it. So let's make this cocktail. It is going to be a shake and drink, but first off, we're going to muddle up some blackberries in the bottom of our shaker tin. We're going to muddle up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blackberries in the bottom of our shaker tin. You can add the basil leaves now if you want, but I find that if you muddle kind of leaves, especially mint or things like that, too early in the cocktail, you shred them and you get all these little bits in your final result, which you don't really want. So I'm just going to add my leaves in afterwards and then shake it up, and that'll get me all those flavors. So I'm just going to really nicely muddle these blackberries down. Okay, I think those are nicely muddled now, so I'm going to get ready to add in the rest of my ingredients. Starting off with a nice rock of ice, and then I'm going to measure in my bourbon. Like I said, this is the Wild Turkey 101 bourbon, and it has a fantastic little flavor and enough proof not to get lost in the cocktail. Plus, we'll be using 60 ml or 2 ounces of our bourbon, so that's really going to make sure it doesn't get lost in the cocktail. Next up, it's 30 ml or 1 ounce of lemon juice, which is going to give us a nice bit of kind of fresh citrus and bright flavors to the cocktail. And then lastly, it's going to be Chambord. Like I said, this is a black raspberry liqueur that's going to give a lot of sweetness, but also some other kind of rounded out notes. And we're only going to go in with 15 ml of this because we don't want to overpower those berry notes, because we've already got a lot of notes coming in from those blackberries. Last up, it's going to be our basil or our basil. I'm going to put in just 4 leaves of basil into there, and then we're going to pop the lid on our shaker tin and shake it away for about 30 seconds just to get everything nice and cold and nice and mixed. Okay, I can feel that this is nicely mixed and nicely chilled now, so we're going to bang the lid off our shaker tin and get ready to strain it out. We'll be straining it into a rocks glass onto another fresh rock of ice, and because I want a kind of a clean, kind of neat presentation, I'm going to double strain it. So I'm going to get my Hawthorne strainer up top and then my fine strainer here to catch any little bits, any of the seeds from those blackberries and any kind of bits of those leaves that came through as well. So just going to nice and quickly strain this out and just catch all those extra bits that we don't want in our cocktail. And look at that. It's got this really dark kind of purple color to it, but at the same time, it is nice and clean, so it does look really cool. And just for a final little garnish, I'm gonna get those nice basil leaves, pop them in just there on the side, so that when you lift up this cocktail, when you go to take a sip of it, you get that extra fresh basil kick. And that right there is how I make a Blackberry Bourbon Bramble. Now real quick before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey cocktails every Friday. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday, and sometimes I put out different kind of videos talking about whiskey on Mondays. So if you want to see that, make sure you hit subscribe. But for now, let's taste this cocktail. Oh yes, that's really nice. As you bring it up, like I said, you get that basil. You get that fresh, kind of vibrant, kind of almost springtime vibe, almost kind of summery light vibe. And then behind that, you get that deep sweetness. You get the Chambord, you get the blackberries coming through, you get that really deep, rich sweetness with that undertones coming from the Wild Turkey 101 with that kind of caramel, the wood char, with that kind of vanilla flavor coming through. And then as you take a sip of it, the bourbon comes more to the fore. The lemon juice as well comes more to the fore. You get that nice play of the lemon juice and the bourbon. You get that real tasty kind of barrel char. The Wild Turkey 101, if you're familiar with it, has this really nice kind of barrel influence that comes through with a little bit of nuttiness, and you get that here because it doesn't get lost in the cocktail. And that the basil just kind of ties it all together. It means it's not just overly sweet, overly tart, overly kind of fruity. It doesn't get lost with the bourbon either. It just kind of rounds it out. Instead of using a bit of bitters, you just get a nice bit of flavor coming through from that basil. If you've got a kind of favorite summery or fruity bourbon cocktail, let me know down in the comments below, because I'd love to try it out and see what they're like. But for now, I'm going to keep on enjoying this one, and I will see you next time. Slán.